Hello, this is Other Maximized channel where we speak about ADA technologies and corresponding tools and community events, etc. Let's see what we have in June 2023, and we will start with Other Monthly Meetup. This event organized by Ferdinand and it took place at 3rd June as a trial event when people joined to see how this works. Ferdinand explained the purpose of this event and if you're interested in discussion, some interesting project, news, some demos and language-related questions, etc., you can join us at the beginning of each month. And in 1st of July, the second such event when people introduce themselves and there were two presentations. For instance, Jeffrey Carter presented his library to visualize plots with ADA. The project built on ADA GUI project and Pragma Arc's reusable components libraries. This was introduced on the forum. You see the screenshot of the library, and it uses web browser as a background execution engine. It's interesting, and there was discussion about such libraries on the forum. It's nice. On my side, I did small demo of my mission solving user interface. It looks like this. I prepared a Docker file to present this engine. You see the web page, and there is intermission. This mission could be in several languages. All these languages not mine, but they are available on GitHub from CheckIO project. You can read the description and then you can try to solve this code. If you type something wrong, you will see the error list below the site. If you read it to provide the solution, you can check it with run or with check. And if you solve this correct, you will be notified with such a window dialog. And there are several missions available for ADA. Each mission have some points that you will win if you solve this correctly. So it's a very naive implementation, but I'm thinking how to integrate it in Alice project. The idea was based on CheckIO site, checkio.org, when you can solve the missions with TypeScript or Python. They provide a nice looking interface and Of course, I didn't provide the same for Ada. But anyway, you can get Docker and try, or you can deploy this on a web server. I will put a link in the video description. Interesting news was on Google Groups about GNAT Studio Cookbook when the Rod was able to build GNAT Studio last release from GitHub sources for Arch Linux, and he provides us instruction even with scripts how to do this. This scripts contains Arch Linux files, and it could be used for other operation systems. For instance, there is discussion about building this on macOS. We will see. But I think most interesting event this month was GNAT academic program workshop, and the core presented us the video from this workshop. Academic workshop gathered students and teachers all over the world, and they share their experience with us how to study Ada or teach Ada. For instance, assertive programming is a video about teaching students with Spark how to do formal verification of the program. It's very nice if you studying formal programming or you are going to teach. Please see, and you will get the reference material here or some ideas what to include in the course. And the second video is a video about embedded oscilloscope made by 4 students. I found this project very interesting and even simple from my point of view, but it's very powerful for teaching because it lets students to study many different Ada sites, starting from embedded technologies and ending with graphic user interface. Idea of this project is to take embedded device with analog to digital converter and connect this device through serial port to PC. Then write on PC the program that visualize the digital signal on a screen. For students made this and started with no experience with Ada, and they use Linux virtual machine on Windows. I don't know why, because the GTK toolkit could be compiled directly on Windows. They provide us some feedback. They like Ada, but there was some negative feedback about valuable resources and libraries, tutorials, lack of such stuff on the internet, and there is a lot of outdated materials on the internet. Nice lecture was about parallel programming. It's not about tasking, but it's about parallel stuff on real-time targets. The multitasking and multi-CPU support is already done for Ada because we have Ravenskar profile and new embedded profile in Ada 2022. But this talk was about parallel execution inside one task. So you can have some simple formulas to evaluate it in parallel with multiple cores and even heterogeneous execution. And Lewis told us about two approaches to do this in real-time targets. First one is OpenMP technologies. OpenMP have very limited support for real-time and does not actually guarantee any real-time constraints. But second approach is Ada 2022 constructs where we have such guarantees, but currently this constructs only theoretical because GNAT compiler or any other compiler not yet implements this. So there is work to do, but the video was very interesting for me, and because I don't not very familiar with this stuff, so it was very informative. And another informative video I considered very interesting was about using Ada and Spark in high-integrity spacecraft software. Carol told us how he came to such a project and the history of the project when he built the CubeSat with students, and this CubeSat was deployed on the orbit, and it was the only project from the student-made CubeSats that works on the orbit, and it do his job during the lifetime of the batteries, and Carl give us some details about hardware and software he used, for instance, usage of Ada Magic to translate Ada to C, because GNAT does not support target processor, and the software was proved for correctness with Spark. So he could disable any runtime checks for this code. This is a picture from the real camera from the orbit. Interesting that most of this code is open source on GitHub, and Carl provides us implementation with radio protocol. It's interesting, and I think it could be shared to people because there is a lot of question where Ada is used, and do spacecraft use Ada as programming languages. I found it very interesting, and I advise you to watch this video. It's very short, 25 minutes total. Besides this, we have two updates from Ada Core. One about Ada technologies, where Yannick told us about new features implemented in the GCC compiler 13 version, and how this works, how enable these experimental features, how to provide feedback on this. Maybe it will be included in the new standard of Ada in 10 years, I think. And another update was about Spark and enabling exception handling in Spark, for instance. I will stop on this further. Also, there was a review of LangKit just-in-time execution engine. LangKit query is this query to work with Ada code base. It's based on libLength and Truffle JIT engine. Truffle is Ada Core Graal VM, not Ada Core, is Oracle Graal VM machine, virtual machine. It's used Java, and that's why this project is very interesting, because it's introduce new stuff of merging Java and Ada in one project. Also, some update about GNAT LLVM tools. It includes GNAT for CUDA and experimental WebAssembly engine. So, if you're interested in what Ada Core work on, check this video to see. While Fabian told us about evolution of Alir project and community, he started from overview of news on learnadacode.com, when we have new format to download code samples and new courses introduced last year, such as embedded system programming and advanced course for Ada as a continuation of introduction to Ada. Here we have first three chapters of new course. I'm looking for continuation. From Alir, we have some progress with migrating to GNU-CC 13, that it's not ready yet, but on the way. And Fabian provide us some statistics about growing of a number of crates for Alir. And here the winners of last competition about crate of the year. Also update about GNAT Studio and Visual Studio Code extension with a nice demo of new implemented refactoring. It's very interesting, so I suggest you to see. And this is mostly all about video. On the blog post of Ada Core, we have one blog post posted in June 13. This is introduced as a new feature of Spark about not normal execution. For instance, when the subprogram raises some exception, this is new feature that we will have in Spark 13, I think. So if you're looking what to read beside blog post, I can show you where you can download other user journal released on March of 2022. This journal mostly have papers based on FOSDEM conference, and if you prefer to read, then watch the video. You can download the journal and read many interesting stuff. That's all that I would like to share you this time. Please like and subscribe the channel. Write me a comment what you like to see in next videos. Goodbye.